Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and my wife made me get out of bed to make the bed today so that the cleaning people could come clean the house. And I said, why am I having to make the bed if they're going to clean the house? What are we paying them to do? Let them make the bed. Let them put a mint on my pillow if I'm paying them to do it. Why am I making the bed? I don't understand. Ripple is back in stock on Link2. Last year was a dynamic period for Ripple, marked by formation of new partnerships, developments in legal matters, sustained participation in the global digital payments arena. As we look ahead, what are your thoughts on Ripple's journey in 2024? We shall see. Link2 is my sponsor. I do own Ripple private equity myself. I do intend to buy more of it. Maybe not today, but I'm going to. Then we've got this. Look, Brad Garlinghouse is here with Lehman Baird. He's the Hedera Hashgraph guy. Somebody said that this guy was Algorand. Let's see. I saw some reference to this guy being Algorand, but listen to this. Lehman Baird wants to stop tribalism and work together.
This is another place where tribalism is not helpful to us. Right. And so if we can work together, Algorand...
Let me give you a news flash, Lehman. We had no choice but to be tribal in uncovering ETHgate because there were no tribes that were helping us, including yours. While Ripple was being sued and while XRP was under scrutiny, I didn't hear from any of the people who now don't want to be tribal. None of them were helping us. It was us all by ourselves. And now many of you are benefiting from what was accomplished, and you don't want to be tribal. It would have been nice to have Lehman out there screaming from the rooftops for us and helping uncover ETHgate.
Just mentioned that they're going to work on this, we're going to work on this, and we're going to make sure we start to talk about whether we can collaborate as well. So it's going to,
fantastic.
Possibly.
That's
and we're going to talk about how we can collaborate with the things you were talking about for scam identification and dealing with it. I think that we can work together in a lot of ways as an industry. This is another...
I'm all for it. All for it. All we ever wanted was a level playing field. All right, here's Michael Sonnenson, CEO of Grayscale in Davos.
Michael, it's Guy. Great to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Look, one of the things people are pointing to with you guys is you've still got relatively high fees. Some of your new competitors don't. How are you going to square that circle?
Well, again, I think it comes down to investors having choice. The reception we've heard from the investment community is really one of really thanking Grayscale, thanking GBTC for forging a path for these other products to come to market. GBTC, paved the way through our SEC lawsuit, our SEC victory, and ultimately really over the last 10 years developing the disclosures and the operations and the mechanics that now other asset managers and other issuers get to borrow from. Now, that being said, we're meeting investors where they're trying to invest, and I think that from a market perspective, GBTC's fee really does differentiate itself by those factors: the size, the liquidity, the track record.
Totally get that. Is it worth 100 basis points?
Ooh.
We certainly think it is. I think for an asset class like crypto, a lot of people are pointing to the fact that some new entrants are coming into the space, some of the world's largest asset managers, but this is their first time dealing in crypto assets, operating crypto investment vehicles. And so as an investor, when you're choosing amongst these products, fee is a consideration, the asset manager, the issuer behind it is a consideration, but so should size, liquidity, and again, that track record.
All right, so they're giving him a hard time about his fees. Then here was Anthony Scaramucci there in Davos too.
You have lots of investors that went in the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust at 2%. They bought it at the Bitcoin at 50,000, 60,000, 69,000. And so when the ETF became available and they were able to sell the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust and take a loss for tax purposes, and you guys know this, they have to wait 30 days before they can reload. But it's a great arbitrage for these people. They can go from a 2% trust into a 21 basis point ETF, and they have to wait. And there's a lot of churn and a lot of volume churn as a result of that. But I think generally the notion that this is an asset class that's here to stay, people like Abigail Johnson at Fidelity and Larry Fink are working on it at BlackRock, I think is great for the industry. Now, what I will say is that we've overly politicized regulation in the country, and I would love to see the SEC move to a more nonpartisan, non-political standard the way the Fed is. And I'm wondering if that could ever happen, because every time we get a new president and we get a right-leaning president or a left-leaning president, we bring somebody in that politicizes the regulation. That's very bad for the industry.
So you think that the SEC's reluctance to really put a stamp of approval on crypto products has been a political stance?
No question. Yeah, this is all born from Elizabeth Warren. She cut a deal with Joe Biden in 2020. She dropped out of the race in exchange for having a lot of say over what happens in the banking industry and the world of financial services. And so she was part of selecting...
one old hag in Massachusetts that's preventing the entire country from reaping the rewards and having the innovation that comes with crypto.
Yellen, and obviously her sidekick in Washington is Gary Gensler. And I call them the regulatory axis of evil, because they're not studying the protocols, they're not studying the technology. They're making this symbolic statements. They're like, oh, this is about fraud, this is about money laundering, where it's not saying that there isn't some money laundering and fraud, but there certainly is. There's more of it with the US dollar, by the way. And I just think the point is, if they calm down and really study the technology, they'd be running towards the technology, not away from it. And frankly, Mr. Gensler knows better. Well, listen to his 24 lectures at MIT. He's actually at heart a blockchain enthusiast.
He's a liar. That's what he is. Then we've got Chris Giancarlo, who, by the way, will be at XRP Las Vegas and does have a beard now. Chris Giancarlo, he's going to be at XRP Las Vegas. He's also going to be at a satellite event, a fundraiser that's going to be at XRP Las Vegas, where Brad Garlinghouse, him, I think Michael Arrington, and John Deaton will be there. And that's like a fundraiser type thing that Chamber of Digital Commerce is doing. It's a separate thing. Well, here he is.
My favorite author, Doug Adams, the author of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, once said that, and I'll paraphrase because I don't remember the exact quote, but it was that anything that's invented before you turn 35 is way cool and is probably going to be the source of a lifetime of engagement the rest of your life. But anything that's invented after you turn 35 is dangerous, suspect, and needs to be suppressed. I think there's a lot of that going on in crypto. And when we've got an administration that's, pretty heavily populated by septuagenarians, in some case octogenarians, this is something that threatens everything they know about finance going back to their days when they had passbook savings accounts and checkbooks. And I can understand why this innovation is very threatening. I think as we go forward, whether it's a Republican or Democrat, whether it's a Trump or any other administration, we're going to increasingly see younger people moving in to serve. And younger people will bring with them a comfort level with networks. They grew up in a networked world, whether that's a network of information or a network of gaming, they're going to bring with them a notion of a network of value. And so I think that this innovation is going to proceed regardless of the next administration. On the other hand, however, I do think that, and I say this as someone who served both in Obama and Trump, but who tends to be on the free market side of the aisle, I do think that you'll see a greater emphasis on free markets and perhaps a greater comfort level with allowing innovations to proceed. The same comfort level allowed me to greenlight Bitcoin futures 5 years ago. I think you'll see a greater, and you'll also see a greater emphasis on, if innovation is going to take place, we want it to take place in the United States.
That's right. It looks like we're about to go in that direction. Now, Meta Lawman, who did help me get my X handle back, I am forever grateful. He's been at the Coinbase hearing. Long-awaiting hearing is over. As I expected, there was no ruling from the judge. There are no knockout blows. He goes on. There was some interesting banter about the relative merits of Judge Rakoff's ruling in the Terraform Labs case and Judge Torres' decision in Ripple. Both judges work in the same building with Judge Fela, who is the judge on this. but Judge gave nothing in the way of terms. I'll go down to the summary here. He says, but I continue to believe, my guess, and it's just a guess, is that she's going to allow the case to go forward to discovery like the Ripple case. But I continue to believe, as noted in my pinned tweet, that Coinbase will ultimately win the case. Congress, of course, could put a stop to the whole thing with adoption of comprehensive crypto legislation, but that won't happen this year. I expect the judge will issue her written decision in the motion within the next 3 months. Not legal advice. You get what you pay for. Then Jeremy Hogan weighed in. Judge Failer paraphrasing, the SEC's security test would lead to a class action lawsuit against the seller of Beanie Babies. The SEC then tries to distinguish Beanie Babies, and for the most part fails, because the truth is that for the SEC, a Beanie Baby is a security. Then David Schwartz had an interesting tweet here. Meanwhile, at the Supreme Court today, this is a quote apparently from the Supreme Court. I would think that the uniquely 21st century phenomenon of cryptocurrency would have been addressed by Congress, and certainly I would have thought that that would have been true in the wake of FTX debacle, but it hasn't happened. Why hasn't it happened? Because there's an agency head out there that thinks he already has the authority to address this uniquely 21st century problem with a couple of statutes passed in the 1930s. And he's going to wave his wand, and he's going to say the words investment contract are ambiguous, and that's going to suck all of this into my regulatory ambit. Even though that same person, when he was a professor, said this is probably a job for the CFTC. So he's a liar. Then Donald Trump says this.
Tonight, I'm also making another promise to protect Americans from government tyranny. As your president, I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. Do you know about that? Tonight, I'm also making another promise to protect...
Hey, if central bank digital currency is to be used for controlling us, I'm all for him not allowing it. Then we've got this Truth Labs is on it again. He's calling out Vitalik Buterin and Joseph Lubin and the Ethereum Foundation. Were you involved in hacking the Gate coin exchange in 2016? You funded the hackers' wallet with gas just prior to the exploit. If not you, then who? Your silence is alarming. I put a thread together just for you. He says it's proof that the Ethereum Foundation was involved in the Gate coin hack. And he's already said that they were involved in the DAO hack. When are people going to investigate these people, folks? I'm not saying they did anything wrong, but I'm saying, when is ETHgate going to be investigated? That is the question, because he's right. The silence is alarming. Now, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com. We're going to continue talking about the dark side of the WEF. I'm scared to say the word out here, because trust you me, I am being censored. I'm censored every day. So we talk about those things in my group at DAIXRP.com, and we're going to talk further today. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. There is evil in this world. There is a dark side. It's almost like we're living through Star Wars and that they're building the Death Star. We're going to talk about that in DAIXRP.com. Here we go.